What up, everybody? Welcome to Four Thoughts, our PGA DFS podcast here at DFS Army. Can Cam Smith win his third Zurich Classic Championship? All that and more coming up now. What up, everybody? It's your boy, DFS Up North. How's it going today? Welcome to the DFS Army Four Thoughts PGA podcast. Today we are talking about the Zurich Classic. We are down at TPC, Louisiana, down in the Bayou partner event. This is not a new event. We've been playing this. I think there's been four, not counting the COVID year where we missed. There's been 4 times that we've played this event, and it's a little bit of fun for the PGA players. They get to team up with a partner, and it's a different format than we are used to. So we're gonna break it down. We're gonna talk about all the rules, the way it's set up, things like that, and then we're gonna get into kind of where my head is at, who I think is gonna win this week, because I got a really strong lean one way, and then I'm gonna build some lineups in the DFS Army Domination Station. So let's get to it, boys and girls. Zurich Classic. There's last year's winners, Cam Smith and Mark Leishman. All right. So like I said, this is a partner tournament. Guys have, some guys have played together here with the same guy for a bunch of years in a row. Some guys have changed up partners, but basically how it works is on day one, Thursday, they are going to play best ball. What that means is that, so Cam Smith and Mark Leishman, they're going to play their own ball, all right? Whoever has the lowest score on the hole, for instance, so say Cam Smith gets a 3, Mark Leishman gets a 4, they write down a 3, and they both get the points for the birdie on the hole, all right? So they play best ball. What we should expect to see is guys shoot about 5 or 6 under. That's about average, all right? If you get guys around like 60, awesome. Your guys are shooting close to par on day one, you are in trouble, all right? Because there's 80-some teams, and we only get 33 make the cut, all right? So after day one, we go to round 2. That is now alternate shots. So what that means is that if Cam Smith tees off, Mark Leishman hits the second ball, Cam Smith hits the third, Leishman hits the fourth. If there's a fifth, they just go back and forth, all right? Then on the next hole, doesn't matter who hit the last shot on the hole before. Let's say Mark Leishman does the tap-in birdie. Doesn't matter. He is teeing off on the next hole. So each guys will get to tee off on 9 holes, and then they'll hit the second shot on 9 holes. Alternate shot, we should see scores closer to par, all right? Honestly, if you get guys like, let's say you rostered Leash and Cam Smith, and they shoot 63 on Thursday, and you're feeling really, really good about yourself, and they come out and shoot 73 on Friday, that's average. That's what's going to happen. Alternate shot is a really, really hard format. Bogeys are more in play. It's really, really hard to make birdies just because you're typically playing from like different distances. You didn't hit the tee shot. Now you got to come hit that second shot. It's a hard thing to do. So then we go back to best ball on Thursday, alternate shot again on Sunday, best ball on Saturday, alternate shot on Sunday, and then we crown a winner, right? We get a cut after round 1. We're looking at the top 33 teams, and they get to go on and play the weekend. So it's a little bit of a tricky event. Like I said, the guys are priced exactly the same, and you'll see when we start building lineups here is that I have the names next to each other, and on DraftKings they actually won't even allow you to build a lineup like with say Cam Smith and Mark Leishman in it. Just doesn't work. All right. They'll say invalid lineup, and you'll have to go back in and change it up here. So come win with us at DFS Army, right? Second 20 max takedown in a while. Nice little chunk of change. I want to give a shout out to Ben Hendricks, right? You see this 1.5K mulligan, 3 entry max. All right. Ben, 2nd, 12th, 30th, right? $8 a contest, $24 in, came out, almost 10, 12x here. This was the type of contest that you should be playing, right? $150 per second. That's nothing to shake a stick at. He had 10, 12x on his ROI, right? Find these small contests and enter them. I think there was only like 100 and some people in this contest, right? 30th was min cash, right? Like get into these contests. These smaller contests are where you can win. And that is what keeps you afloat for a long period of time. So shout out to Ben playing the right type of contest, right? Like don't be afraid to take a shot at a big contest, but by continuing to play the right contest, you keep yourself afloat, you can play longer, and then you can take more shots at these big money contests. Everybody wants to win $20,000, but nobody wants to grind week after week and week after week and win 150 here and 50 here and 75 there. But that is what keeps you afloat as a DFS player. Code up north gets you 10% off for life. You want more advice like this? You want to talk to me in the Discord? You want to get involved in some of our other sports? Trucks crushed last weekend. NASCAR's always going hard. The baseball guys are rolling right now. You want to get in on that? Use that code up north for 10% off. All right. TPC Louisiana, Zurich Classic course preview here. Par 72, 74.25, fairly long. The average driving distance off the tee though is like right around 275. So you don't need to be super long here. It actually sort of sets up like an RBC Heritage, like we played last week. Whereas it's, you don't necessarily need to be super long. Guys are going to kind of be in the same landing areas no matter what, if they're long or not. There is an advantage. You can take some shortcuts if you are a little bit longer, but for the most part, you're going to be hitting the same sort of yardages into these holes. Stint meter 12, they want to try to get it fast. They are POA overseed, right? Bermuda grass, POA overseed. They try to get them going fast in the afternoon. A lot of that depends on weather. I think that they'll play closer to that 12. They won't be much slower than that, but I don't think them up to that like half 13. I think that 12 is going to be the max that they're going to be able to get this week. Like I said a minute ago, very similar to the RBC Heritage and the green size, right? Green size last week was about 3,500. We're at 5,225 this week, but still on the small end of greens on tour. So you got to have some good around the green game. There's a lot of runoffs here. A Pete Dye design, right? So it's intimidating off the tee. 5 water hazards. Water's in play on 8 holes. If you remember back to last year's contest, it really came down to Mark Leishman and Cam Smith versus Charles Schwartzel and Louis Oosthuizen. And on 16, Cam Smith almost put it into the water. Left it short of the green. Mark Leishman had just an unbelievable, like Louis and Charles were in the driver's seat and Leishman chipped in for birdie. They go to 18. End up being tied. They go on to the playoff hole, come back out, and Louis shanks one into the water off the tee on 18. So ended it for them there, but water is definitely in play. And again, it's a tricky event to handicap because you're dealing with 2 players here, right? But as always, strong approach game. Good around the green is going to be important this week, right? These smaller greens are going to be important, and you just got to putt, right? You got to putt. The green rough not going to be very, very, very difficult here. Some comp courses, Caves Valley, where they played the BMW last year in the playoffs. Patrick Cantlay beat Bryson DeChambeau. And then Stadium Course at PGA West, that's where they play the Amex. That's the course that they'll play twice in that event. So guys who have done well at the Amex might do well here. I think RBC Heritage is a good comp course here. Trinity Valley came up. They used to play there in Texas, but if Aaron Wise was playing, I'd be on him because of that, but he's not. So like I said, average cut line minus 6.5. All right. So you need to, and really you need to go low on day one. All right. You need to go low on Thursday to have a chance in that alternate shot. Cause like 69 an alternate shot is a really, really, really good score here. 24 is the average winning score. We've had this format 24 or 4 times. We said, bombers can have success here, but they need to be accurate too. And there's an emphasis on that around the green. So guys who have won here, we've got Leishman and Smith at minus 20. They won in that playoff. Rahm and Ryan Palmer. Unreal, dominated start to finish, minus 26, like it wasn't even a contest. Billy Ho and Scott Piercy, you'll hear about them later. They were really good in best ball. They shot 61 in round 3, which is really impressive. And then Cam Smith, his first time winning here, minus 27 with the corpse of Jonas Blix. I don't know how that pairing got together. They beat another group of Kisner and Scott Brown, which the Kiz, good player, but Scott Brown, not somebody we're super excited about playing. So this has been an interesting event. We've seen different types of players win here. But typically what we see is that 1 or 2 guys from the bottom creep up towards the top. But we see these top end players in that top 10. All right. So we're not going to get too crazy this week in our, player pool. And especially because you can't jam in a bunch of studs because the bottom of this pool is really, 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 really bad. Let me zoom out here. This is our PGA cheat sheet, right? Like I said before, if you're not a DFS Army VIP, you can use code up north for 10% off here. Talk about my core plays, my 10K and up, and then as you look down, right, usually the 6K range, I've got like 15, 20 guys that I think are viable punts for this week. It's ugly, guys. It is not great down there in the bottom of this field. So before we get to it, let's get to my core plays this week. Talk about some guys that I'm really, really high on. So number 1, it comes down to the guys that I think are going to win, and that's Sam Burns and Billy Horschel. Horschel has really done well here. He's won here when it was an individual event. He won here with a partner a couple of years ago, dragged Scott Piercy with him to a win. Now he's got Sam Burns, who's arguably one of the hottest golfers on tour. Don't let him miss cut at the Masters in his debut, get you off him. Like, I'm all in on this pairing this week. Like, I have 30-40% MME exposure here. I think I'm probably going to be closer to 60-70 and just go all in this spot, right? I think that the build looks a lot different when you kind of skip over that, the Hovland, Cantlay, Mark Leishman, Cam Smith lineups. And if you start with Horschel and Burns, they win, you are smashing. So I think that's a really, really good leverage spot this week for GBP. They seem to be good friends. They had a press conference together today where Billy Horschel was talking about how he's done trying to make everybody happy and not be mad on the golf course. And Sam Burns said, yeah, if he gets too fired up, I'll walk over and give him a hug. And they laughed about it, right? So they seem to be good buddies. I'm really, really, really high on these two this week. I think if I'm building, in a 3 max, and I'm looking at possibly just running them all out in that 3 max, right? Automatic single entry play for me. I'm all over these two this week. As we go down, we get Grayson Sigg and Sepp Straka. Kind of priced in a weird spot. I think that the ownership should be fairly low, but even though Straka got in the mix last week, they've been fairly consistent, right? Sig's been great all season. Straka's an elite ball striker who can heat up with the putter. They can score like crazy. I just really think that they're a great play. Straka, played well here last year. Made the cut with Josh Teeter. Sig's a much better partner. Sig's only missed 1 cut this season. Unfortunately, he was a core play that time too. So maybe it's the up north core play curse. But I really like Grayson Sigg and Sepp Straka at 8,300. And then I've got the Ryder Cup duo of all duos, Justin Rose and Henrik Stenson. Rose's form, not great. Looked good earlier in the spring when he was playing like the Farmers. He finished 6th. But Stenson's really, really come around lately. They're 6-2 together in Ryder Cup. They were 11th here last year. Just really, really, really solid play lately. I'm high on both of these guys. And then finally, Joey Bramlett and Mav Mcnealy. We know that McNeely's been great. Bramlett looked really solid last week at the RBC. 2 Stanford boys at 7,700. Super cheap, 8,500 on Fanduel. Lock and load over there. They're mega core for me on Fanduel. But on DraftKings, which we mostly talk about here, definitely in play. So at the top, right? Like, I don't think you need to fade any of these guys. I do have some concerns about Morikawa and Hovland. Obviously, the world, they're the lowest official world golf ranking of anybody. But we talk about how important that around the green game is. They better hit every single green here, because if they don't hit every single green here, they are in trouble. They are just both awful around the green. So I think that's interesting. I think Cantlay and Schauffele, obviously good play. Leishman and Smith are a good play. I'll be a little bit higher on them than anybody else. I'm going to be a little under on Palmer and Scheffler. Palmer hasn't been great, so it's not somebody I'm super excited about playing, even though he is paired with Scotty Scheffler coming off a Masters win. Shane Lowry and Ian Poulter. Lowry, man, what a choke job last week, but Poulter's played well. They both have decent history here, especially Poulter. I'm in on them. I wish Tommy Fleetwood was playing with somebody else. If he was, I'd be all over him because he's been playing great. Neiman, Mito Pereira, the team from Chile, possibly a future President's Cup pairing. I don't know. Everybody's fired up about them. They're fine, right? Like, I don't hate them. Gooch and Homa are solid. I really, really like Davis Riley and Will Zalatoris. You're going to have to get some ownership here, though, because they should be very chalky. I think that the pivot off of these two is either Gooch and Homa or Hatton and Willett. Nobody's going to play Hatton and Willett, and I think that they make a ton of sense in this spot. Keegan Bradley and Brendan Steele, who's going to putt? Who's going to putt? Like, they played well here last year, but who's going to putt? Like, they're both terrible. Kazire and JT Poston, I think, make a ton of sense. I'm pretty high on them. Laird and Bobby Mack, 2 Scots, decent. I think Bazuthout and Schwartzel are interesting. They both, they do well what the other one doesn't. So they make some sense. Clark and Tringali, a great value up there. Don't play, I don't know. I mean, Scott Brown and Kevin Kisner, people are going to look at course history. They're going to talk about Kevin Kisner in this format, whatever. Like, not for me. Guys that I'm really, really high on in this kind of range are Tyler Duncan and Adam Shank. They were close to a core play for me this week. They were really well here last year, I believe. 11th and 7th here together in their careers. They played a bunch of golf. They're good buddies. Shank's been super consistent. Duncan, on unreal iron player. If he gets the putter going a little bit, he's in good shape. And then David Lipsky and Aaron Rye, 2 of my, kind of favorite punt options in GPP every week. High on them. I think Hoagie's interesting, but not really. And then we get to the bottom, right? Like Uline and Werenski, good history here. That's fine. Kitayama and Appy Barnrat, sure, I can get on board with that. Chappell's been playing better, but James Hahn's not. Should go back to being a shoe salesman. Lee Hodges, Vince Whaley, like that's it. Like this bottom is terrible. Terrible. So how do we make lineups then? What do we do? How do we make lineups with these guys with not having a lot of options below 7K? Well, kind of my sweet spot lately has been building about 50, 60 lineups. So that's what I'm going to do here in the domination station. I'm going to show you how I'm going to go through it here. Again, if you're a DFS Army VIP, you get access to the domination station. And it's obviously one of my favorite tools. So how I'm going to set it up here, basically I could just say, hey, I don't want to play anyone below 7K or 6,900. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go through and click through, right? But again, always tournament mode, projection. Let's go 2 uniques. I don't care about an ownership cap this week. Let's just build 50 here. I don't need to force a player with projected ownership. I don't care about that. We don't have projected ownership in right now because it's almost impossible to build it this week. Lots of randomization this week. You can build some player combination rules. Like let's say you want to stack between 0 and 4 of like, I want some of these guys in every single lineup. So I could say like Sam Burns and Billy Horschel. Who else is in my core this week? Sig and Straka, Rose, and I should say 2 of, right? Okay, let's see. Who else am I missing here? Rosie and Stenson. And let's get my other core piece in there. McNealy, Bramlett, and let's put a 5th in there. Let's put Shank and Dunksy in there because I'm pretty high on them. Let's say so between 2 and 4 of these 5 guys in all my lineups. We can add a little rule. Oopsies. I'm gonna delete that here. Gotta get at least 2 to 4. All right, add the rule. All right. So let's just see what that gives me right now. Let's see. Let's build these and see what happens. I don't have an exposure cap, so it's gonna give me really, really high on Joey and Joseph Bramlett and the Bramwagon and Mav McNealy. 50 lineups, I got him in 60. All right, but now, as you can scroll through here and see, it's not giving me much Billy Ho, right? So the DS, as we can see here, is not as high on Horschel as it is on everybody else this week. So I'm going to have to find, where is my Billy Ho exposure at? Am I going to get like 0? Hold on here. Oh, no, it gave me 42. I'm losing my mind here. All right, that's okay. I can get on board with that. I actually probably want a little bit more. So, all right. So I don't hate it. Let's see some of the lineups here. We get Cantlay, Palmer, Hadwin, Bramlett, Duncan, Hoagie, and Barjon. Yeah, solid. Hodlin, Palmer, Grayson, Bramlett, Russ Knox, Brian Stewart, Ben Martin, and Bo Van Pelt. That's one that I'm not super excited about. So now let's go through and basically change some of our exposures here. Before we go there, I want to like some of my guys. Obviously, they're getting forced into my lineups anyways, but I am again, I'm super high on a couple of these guys. I do not like Harold Varner. I do like Davis Riley and Will Zalatoris. I like Danny Willett and Terrell Hatton. I know it's hard. I don't like my boy Sung Jae. I think Graham McDowell and Seamus Power are an interesting partnership. I don't have them in my lineups, or I don't have them in my cheat sheet right now, but somebody was talking about them in the chat, and I am definitely starting to become a little bit more interested. Killer Keith Brandt actually looked decent last week. Troy Merritt and Bobby Streb, Wyndham Clark and Cam Tringali I like. I wish Henrik Norlander was playing a little bit better. I'd be all over him here. Like Lipsky. Sam Horsfield and Matt Wallace are a bit intriguing to me. We're just going to bump up these guys for funsies. Let's go to the bottom here. I got to start getting rid of guys. So like Brett DeWitt and Dowie Vanderwalt. No. Scott Guczeski, DA points. No. Jay Haas is 68 years old. Absolutely not. Hard Jimmy K and Marty Trainer. No. Martin Bo Van Pelt. No. Skins and Taryn are maybe, you could maybe talk me into. Tommy Gainey and Bobby Garrigus. No, sorry. Glidgich. No. Jared Wolf. No. Johnny Bird and Chesson Hadley. No. Kevin Tway and Kelly Craft. I'll leave in there. Justin Lauer and Dylan Wu. I'll leave in there. Wes Bryan and Trey Mullinex. No. Sangwoo Bay and Danny Lee. I think I can leave in. Camilo and Kyle Stanley, no. I think you can leave in Jimmy Herman and Von Taylor. They're both legitimate pros. Chad Reel and Joshua Creel and Chad Ramey, I think you can leave in. Johnny Hun, Soon Kang, no. Brandon Hagee just withdrew last week. That makes me concerned. Arjun Atwal, love Lucas Herbert, not a chance. Brandon Wu played well here once. Sean O'Hara and Scott Piercy, not a chance. Chucky Hoffman and Nick Watney. Sorry, guys. Higgs and Smotherman I can leave in. Garnett. I'm not going to play Grillo. I'm probably not going to play Grace and Higo either. Can get rid of them. All right. So now let's see what we get. 27, 30 and 40 is. I'm not opposed to 40 players this week. I'd ideally like to keep it a little bit under that, but I don't hate it. All right, so now now we can start to come in here and dial in our exposures a little bit, right? So 54% for these guys, love it. I'm gonna, set an exposure max on Mav McNealy to 30. All right, I don't need any more than that. I'm gonna set an exposure max on Alec Noren and Henrik Norlander, right? I said Norlander's been playing terrible. Hovland, Morikawa, I'm gonna set an exposure max to. I'm gonna put a little 20% on him. I'm gonna put a 15 on Palmer and Scheffler. Leishman, Cam Smith, Lowry, anybody I want to get more of or less of. Let's try to get 20% of Davis Riley. All right, now let's see what we get. I probably messed up the bottom there, but whatever. Ideally, we want as much Sam Burns and Billy Horschel as possible, right? That's the stand I'm making this week. Oh, I don't hate this. All right. Okay, let's see. We are talking about 66, 40% dunks, Rose. My core is right at the top. That's what I like to see, right? Sig and Straka are right there. Leash and Cam Smith, I'm interested in. Cantlay, Noren, topped out at 20. Lowry and Poulter. Lipsky, I'm getting a little bit of. Chappell and Hahn. Hank Lebioda and Chase Seifert. All right, that's an interesting one that we might have to get rid of. I'm going to try to get a little bit more of these guys. Let's say 12%. Coles, McCarthy, Kirk, Adam Long, Fleetwood. I'm getting a bunch of these grubs at 1. I don't hate it. I've won because I had a guy in at 1% before. Not the worst play in the world. Who are my tours? Sangmoon Bae and Danny Lee. Like, what's my top projected here? They love Tom Hoagie and Paul Barjon this week. All right, let's optimize one more time. Again, one of the other really nice tools I'll show you here in a second is the swap out button, which allows you to just swap a guy right away, which is super easy to do. All right, this isn't going to be my final run, but let's see here. So what you can do, like I said, with that swap out button, right, is let's say, okay, I got Hovland, Burns, Noren, Knox, Coles, Tyler Duncan. Let's say I don't want to play Benny Coles. All right, what it'll do is it'll bring me here, and it'll tell me all the guys that are available for me to switch out. So let's say I want to go, I don't want to play him, and I want to get a little bit of Scott Stallings in. Boom, done, in. All right, don't want to play Justin Lower and Dylan Wu. I probably don't have any other options, to be honest. I can play Kelly Craft and Kevin Tway. But if I go to the top, right, like I don't want to play Leash and Cam Smith. Okay, I got all these options here. I can go Shane Lowry, and then maybe that lets me get up from Ryan Brem to a guy like, I can play Joel Damon, right? So really, really nice, and it automatically does it right in your, your CSV so that you can download that and go from there. So I don't hate these projections. I'm still going to mess with it a little. Like, I don't know, 12% Tom Hoagie seems like a little much. I can start getting rid of, maybe a Scott Brown, Hubbard, and start getting rid of some of these scrubs that I really just don't want to play anyways. Not Woo, but Hank Lebioda, start running it from there and really get my player pool down to closer to 40. All right. So like I said, that's Zurich Classic this week. If you guys have any questions, make sure you hit me up on Twitter at DFS Up North. You can find me in the Discord at DFS Up North, right? You're not a DFS Army VIP. Use that code Up North for 10% off a VIP membership. You and me, we can crush together. All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a great week. Let's talk soon. Zurich Classic. Crush it.